Hi, welcome to live stream Yoga with Louise, tips and cues to keep you safe and strong on the mat. Today we are playing with dragging, lifting, extending motions. Think of an arrow being dragged back before it can be launched forward. As always, play where you're comfortable, modify when you need to, take a rest when you need to. You ready? Let's hit the mat. We're going to begin today's practice coming into a nice tall staff seat at the top end of your mat. Find a comfortable parallel stance with your feet just inside of hip width distance apart. Move your bum flesh out the way so that you can ground solidly through both of your bum bones and place your fingertips gently on the floor just in front of your hip line. You're going to start to bend one knee, drag your foot till it's grounded, maintaining that tall sense of seat, and then launch yourself forward again. We're going to start to find an alternating pattern. Think of that arrow being dragged back and then gently launched forward. Make sure you give me a nice press into the heel of your foot as you launch yourself forward. Maintain your tall sense of seat. I'm going to call it, let's do 5 more. So let's do 5, 4, 3, 2. Then bend both knees together, ground your feet, and start to tip the weight just off your tailbone, floating your feet up so that you can find your way into a boat line. Hold for 10. Then gently start to drop back onto your elbows without collapsing your back line towards the mat. We're coming into a single leg stretch. You're going to begin to extend your legs one at a time. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Pull yourself back up to your original tall seat on the mat. We're going to come back to that arrow-like drag and extend, but we'll add some rotation through the trunk. So as you bend one leg and drag it in, you're going to twist towards it, grabbing opposite hand to knee, maintaining that tall seat, and keeping the foot of your extended leg nice and braced. And then we're going to change sides. We're at 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Last set, then we're going to find our way back into that boat line, but this time we'll shoot for an extended leg line. Start to bend and ground through both feet. Start to tip the weight just off your tailbone. Find your tabletop line and then extend and hold for 10, 8, 6, 4, 2, ground your feet. Drop back onto the elbows. This time we're going to come into a double leg stretch. So extending both legs together and then bending them together. Looking for that contraction in your abs to pull the knees in and then letting it go to launch yourself forward. Think of that arrow. Last one. Bend your knees, ground your feet, and gently find your way onto the back. We're coming into a U hold, and we'll marry it with a 100 pattern. So once you've found the mat, you can set yourself up as you would for a bridge line. Pretend that there's a big Swiss ball being tethered from the ceiling by a piece of string. Somebody's cutting that string and the ball starts to fall towards you. Think of it hitting your belly dead center. As it hits your belly, I want you to think of going oof around the ball and find your way into a gentle U hold and start to play with the beating 100 pattern. Inhaling for 5 and exhaling for 5. If you find the extended leg line too much, bend and ground your feet and play your 100 from here. Doing roughly 5 with palms looking down towards the floor, and then we're going to flip the hands, palms up. Inhale, 2, 3, 4, 5. Exhale, 2, 3, 4, 5. Two more to go. Relax your body back down to the mat, keeping your legs long and extended. Arms are just relaxed and heavy at your side, palms down, and we're going to keep a neutral spine for the next 2 exercises, but we are going to try to make the belly button as heavy as we can. Start to bend the right knee, drag the foot along the mat, big toe, and then kick it up towards the sky. Retrace your path back and think of that arrow. Give me a brace and a kick into your leg. Let's repeat left, and then we're going to double up, and we're going to do both legs together, bending them, then launching them up towards the sky before you retrace your path back with a nice brace and kick into the leg. So a single on each side. And then a double. Single, single, double. I'm going to call that 6. 5. 4. 3. 2. 'Last set. And we'll end with the legs in extension once we've completed the last round. Then just allow your feet to find a soft turnout position. So think heels together, toes softly splayed out. We're going to start to just mobilize a little bit through the hips so that we're prepped for the next movement pattern. You're going to bend your knee, take it out to the side of the room, and then bring it back. Keep tracing in the same direction for roughly 5 rounds, keeping your right foot gently connected to the mat and just gently externally rotating through the hip joint. Then change direction and begin to move in the opposite direction for roughly 5 turns. Then let's switch legs. Find your turnout position first and then begin to externally rotate left. Then change direction. Last one. End with the legs long and extended and bring them back into a gentle parallel line. Bend both knees together and drag your feet back to grounding onto the mat. Keep the neutral pelvis and spine position and float your hands overhead. Back of the hands connected to the mat, palms looking up to the sky. For the next 10 movements, we're going to keep the head and the shoulders on the mat and we're going to work or move arms and legs. We're going to begin in a neutral pelvis and a neutral spine. Take a big breath in to prepare. On an exhale, tilt your pelvis to the 12 o'clock position. Begin to imprint your lower and your mid back. Think of that hollow belly. Try to find it again. And then pull the knees to 90 as you float the hands to arrive alongside the hips. And then bring yourself back down to the mat. Keep head and shoulders on the mat. Let's do 9 more. Hold the last one and then scoop to peel your chest up off the mat. So pull down from the sternum towards your belly button line. Grab the back of your thighs. Pull in with your hands and make your hamstrings as heavy as you can into your hands and hold for 10, 8, 6, 4, 2. Relax your head and your shoulders back down to the mat. Arms relaxed alongside the body and begin to squeeze the knees and the feet together. Then allow the knees and the feet to drop away, playing a little V pattern, and squeeze back towards the midline 10 times, opening and closing through the legs. We're at 8, 4, 2, last one. Drop both feet to the mat, extend the legs, parallel lines soft and float your hands overhead. Head and shoulders stay on the mat for the first 10 movements. We're going to begin in neutral. Big breath in to prepare. On an exhale, try to find an echo of that pelvic tilt. Use it to pull your knees to 90. Float your hands to arrive alongside your hips. And then trace your path back down to the mat. We're going to shoot for 10. Not a sound as you reconnect legs and arms to mat. Hold your next contraction. Scoop to peel your chest and your head off the mat. Grab for the back of your thighs. Tug in with your hands and make the back of your thighs as heavy as you can into your hands. Allow for a soft elbow line and hold that scoop. Belly nicely contracted, feeling each little line of your abs. And then extend the legs up towards the sky and relax your head, your shoulders, and your arms down to the mat. Squeeze the feet along the midline and then open up into a little V pattern and squeeze back. We'll shoot for 10. Last one. Give me a double leg drop to arrive, legs back down on the mat. Float your hands overhead. I'll demo the next one before we do it together. Keep your head and your shoulders on the mat. Big breath into prep. On an exhale, think of finding A slight U-hold into the mat, drawing your legs to 90 and floating the hands to arrive alongside the hips. And then as silently as you can, returning the feet and the hands to the mat. So lots of control through the belly as you bring yourself back down to the mat. We're going to shoot for 10 with breath. Make sure you're controlling through your core. If you find the extended leg line too much, you can bend and reground through the legs. End with your legs at 90. Hold the contraction. Scoop to peel head and shoulders off the mat. Grab for the back of your thighs and hold for 10, 8, 6, 4, 2. Relax your head, your shoulders, and your arms down to the mat. We'll add to our previous movement pattern. So begin by squeezing the 2 feet together. Open up into a V. Squeeze back. And give me a double leg drop, maybe all the way or halfway to the floor and back. 1 V pattern, 1 drop. 1 V pattern, 1 drop. Let's call that 8, 7. You can tuck both hands, palms down underneath your bottom if you need a little bit of support for your lower back and your tailbone. Let's call that 5, 3, 2, last one. Bend your knees, hug them in towards your chest, maybe giving yourself a soft little brace around the knees, and just give yourself a gentle east to west cradle rock release through the lower back. For the next movement pattern, we're going to do a play on a single leg stretch, but we will isolate the movement on one side of the body only for 10 repetitions before we repeat it on the second side. Bend your knees, ground your feet, interlace your hands, make yourself a nice little sturdy basket with your hands and tuck that basket of support behind your head. Begin in neutral pelvis and neutral spine. Take a big breath in to prepare. On the exhale, find your tilt. Pull down from the sternum towards your belly button line to peel up into the chest lift. Lock that lift in. Feel each little line of your belly. And then draw your legs one at a time into a tabletop position. Making sure that you've got knee over hip and that you're not pulling your leg through the tabletop or the control line. We're going to play right side only. Single leg stretch and then pull your knee back. Arrow and back. Arrow and back. 8, 7, don't lose your chest lift. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Change sides without resting. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Reground to the mat. If you need to release your lower back, maybe cup your hands around the knees and start to trace 2 independent circles away from each other, maybe for 4 rounds, and then trace in the opposite direction. We're going to change our orientation on the mat from here, rolling over onto one side, and make sure that you've got a little bit of room to play here. So I'm just going to give myself some additional room. We are going to find our way onto the side of the body, and I'd like you to bend and stack your legs. But for this one, I want you to try to get as much of a 90-degree behind the knees as you can. So don't pull the heels in as if you were trying to line them up with your spinal line. I want you to keep that 90. So pretend that you were sitting on a chair and then somebody just flipped you over onto your side, and that's where you landed as you arrived on the floor. We're going to extend the arms out in front. Arms are together in a prayer-like motion, and you're going to rest your head on the mat. We're going to keep the legs where they are, and we're going to focus arms. You're going to take a big breath in, and you're going to open up the arm into a T frame, tapping to the floor behind you, and then you're going to close back. We're going to do about 5 repetitions here, and make sure that you're working mindfully with the breath, inhaling as you open up and following the hand as it opens to the floor and as it retraces its path back. Inhale to open up, work mindfully as you play with that rotation into the lower back, and then exhale as you bring it back. Last one like this. Then we'll keep the hand movement as it is, but we'll change the leg line. Keep the bottom leg where it is, but extend the top leg at 90. Keep it there as you give me 5 more openings through the top arm. One more like this. Then we're going to start to play with the leg line. So the next time you find your T opening pattern through the arms, you're going to lift your extended leg and you're going to stop that leg at the 90 line. Then retrace arms and legs back to close. So arms open up into T, but the leg stops at the 90 line. And you're shooting for just roughly 5 repetitions. When you're on your last repetition, keep the leg at the 90 line, but close your hands. Now we're going to move arms and legs in the opposite direction. So as you begin to peel your arms open into T, you're going to tap your extended leg to the mat, and then bring the leg back to 90 and close your T frame. And we're going to shoot for roughly 5 repetitions. Let's do one more like this, and then we'll find our way into a seated mermaid frame from here. So as you draw back to your start position, start to bend your extended leg, start to press up on the top hand and slide the legs to form a little mermaid frame on the mat. So you're thinking of bending the front leg and then tucking the knee of the back leg into the sole of the foot of the front leg. Reposition yourself on the mat. So wiggle around so that it doesn't feel like you're placing all of your weight on one bum bone. Try to have both of your bum bones connected to the mat and center yourself as best you can. Reach for the ankle and the shin of the back leg and find a nice grasp position there. With the other hand, you're going to give me a gentle arcing bowling-like motion through the arm. And then you're going to reach for that overhead arm and you're going to grab hold of the wrist. You're going to give it a tug and you're going to hold here, trying to open up as much as you can on the opposite side of your ribs. So think of those intercostal muscles and just trying to open up the little spaces between each rib. Hold for 10. Try not to collapse into your pelvis. So keep that tall sense of trunk while you hold the stretch. 10, 8, 6, 4, 2, Undo the hand clasp, take your back leg, step it over the front knee. We're coming into a little half lord stretch. So you're going to ground that foot into the mat. You're going to rotate towards your top knee. You're going to grab opposite hand to thigh. You're going to maintain a tall sense of trunk, and you're going to try to ground both hip bones. The lead leg, the bum of that leg is going to feel like it wants to keep lifting off the mat. I want you to think of the ball and socket joint of that hip, and I want you to make the ball portion nice and heavy to the mat. Hold it. Then unravel yourself so that you can rinse and repeat on the second side. Think of finding your way. Just make sure you've got enough runway to play. Find your way down into the mat. Remember to have that nice 90-degree behind the knee, so you're not tucking in towards the midline. You're going to find your setup frame on the mat, and we are going to open up into T on the arms, on the inhale, and then exhale to bring it back. And remember, as we're starting to mobilize through the lower back here, just move gently. Maybe on the first 2 or 3 repetitions, you won't be able to tap your hand to the floor behind you. Maybe your lower back is really tight. So just work within your range of motion. Let's do one more like this before we start to change the leg position. Make sure you've got enough room to work without kicking or slapping into anything. I'll try and be mindful as well. All right, extend the top leg. Keep that extended leg line and just open up the arms into T. Keep belly to spine throughout. One more like this. Then we're going to start to play and drag that extended leg to the 90 line. So for this round, as you open up the arms into T, you're going to pull your extended leg up towards the 90 line and the arms into T. Then bring everything back down to the mat. So arms to T, but leg to 90. One more like this. And as we bring the leg into the 90 line, we're going to leave it there when we close the arms. Now, as you open arms into T, you're going to tap the toe back to the mat, or floor rather, and then back to your start position. So the arms opening to T and the leg tapping to the mat and back. So arm and leg moving in the opposite direction. Let's do one more like this, and then we'll find our way into that little mermaid stretch. So once you've completed your last repetition, start to bend the top leg. Start to press up onto the mat. Keep both knees bent and tuck into a little mermaid frame. Readjust yourself, so make sure that you're not hanging just on one bum bone. Find a nice tall seat, both bum bones grounded. Reach for the shin and the ankle of the back leg. Maintain that tall seat, so coming out through the pelvis. Find your arc and frame. Once you've found it, let go of the backhand, reach for that wrist, give it a little tug, and then hold here, maintaining your tall sense of trunk and trying to open up as much as you can through the ribs. Hold for 10, 8, 6, 4, 2, release, And then find your way onto the belly into a prone position. Legs are just soft and relaxed in a parallel line. We're going to bend at the elbows, stack your palms and your forearms one on top of the other. Relax not your chin, but your forehead to the back of your hand so that your neckline stays in neutral. I'll do a quick demo so you can have a look before you do it with me. We're going to play with a rapid fire flicking motion of the left heel towards the bum and back. And you're going to do that 10 times. 10, 8, 6, 4, 2. Then begin to roll right onto the right side of your body, setting yourself up in a stacked position using the bottom arm as a long pillow. Try to keep yourself as stacked as you can, so try not to roll the weight forward or backwards. We're going to play with the drag motion on the top leg. So drag your big toe along the inseam of your leg, kick up towards the sky and retrace back 10 times. Two more to go. We're going to end with that leg kicked up towards the sky, and you're going to hold here. Maybe you can reach for the back of your leg. If you find yourself rolling forward, you can bend the bottom leg and find yourself a little kickstand prop. Reach for the back of that leg and hug it in. Take a little stretch here. And then from here, we're going to find our way into a modified side cobra. Work mindfully with your back and just listen carefully to the cues. So you're going to drop your legs back into your stacked position. So from the belly button down, you're going to try to keep the body as still and as stacked as possible. So you've got both hips one on top of the other, both ankles and feet one on top of the other, looking up towards the sky. Then we're going to look to gently begin to rotate belly button up. So you're going to place top hand on the mat and you're going to start to gently walk your way up onto the elbow of the bottom arm. Maybe this is where you're staying with your modified, you can think of this as a modified Sphinx, or you can come into a modified Cobra by beginning to press into the palm of the arm that is bent and grounded and see if you can bring that elbow off the floor. So your hands are in a slightly staggered position and you're going to hold here for 10, 8, 6, 4, 2, find your way onto the belly again, and let's repeat the work on the second side. Find your stacked forearm position, and when you're ready, rapid fire flicking motion, heel to bum on the right. Then start to rotate and roll left, stacking. Hips looking up to the sky, we're going to find a drag and a kick or extend pattern on the top leg for roughly 10 repetitions. Using your big toe to drag the inseam of your legs or the inseam of your leggings, and then extending the leg up to the 90 position before retracing your palm back to start. You're going to end with that leg up towards the sky. Maybe you need to bend the bottom leg to support. You're going to reach for the back of your extended leg and take a little stretch here. Then let's find our way into our modified Sphinx or modified side Cobra. So restack your legs one on top of the other. Try to keep that stack position. So from the belly button down, you're going to try to keep your body as still as possible. And we're going to look for some gentle rotation, belly button up. So take your top arm, place that palm on the mat, and start to press yourself out coming onto the elbow of the bottom arm. Maybe this is where you stay, or maybe you'd like to press into the palm of the top hand and come into more of an extended cobra-like line through the trunk. Hold here for 10, 8, 6, 4, 2. You're going to roll back over onto the belly. And then we're going to give ourselves 5 negative push-ups. So tucking your toes under, and you can either keep the legs extended with the knees off the floor, or you can play with the soft knee line connected to the mat to press yourself up into a plank line. And you're going to bend your elbows, place your palms alongside your bosom, keep your elbows tucked in. You're going to press into your toes and your palms. You're going to brace your core, and you're going to press up into a plank. Then bend the elbows, come down to the mat, and as soon as your belly touches the mat, lift your toes and your palms off the mat. You're going to repeat that negative push-up 5 times. If you need to use a soft knee, think 4-point kneel before you come to the plank, and then reconnect your knees to the mat to come back down. So you play where you're comfortable, shooting for roughly 5 repetitions. End in the plank, hold for 10. Then relax your knees, your shins, and your feet to the mat. Do big toes together, knees open nice and wide, so you're in a little V frame through the legs. As you push back into an active extended chant, push into your palms, sink your bum bones back as far as you can. Look for that nice little stretch, not only into the arms and the shoulders, but also into the lower back and into the pelvic girdle. We're going to ease our way from here into a little V haunch line on the mat. So keep big toes together, knees wide. Begin to walk your hands back towards your knees, tucking the toes under, setting yourself up for a haunch line. Think belly to spine as you pull the knees up off the floor. Find your haunch line. See if you can just place your hands on the top of your thighs and hold for 10. Look for stillness, look for control. Then we're going to try to keep the weight on our toes and the heels off the floor as we come into extension, so into a nice tall stand, pulling up from the pelvic floor towards the crown, and hold the stand for 10. Then reground your feet. Look down towards your feet and just set yourself up in a little Pilates V. We're going to do 5 roll downs from the V position to end off today's practice. So find a nice tall, proud stand, keeping the turnout position. Big breath into prep. On the exhale, you're going to nod your chin to your chest. You're going to hollow out your belly, round out your back. Maintain that same hollow frame as you restack and realign, keeping the legs in the turnout position. And you're going to shoot for roughly 5 repetitions, working with your breath. So using an inhale every time to prepare, and then executing either the roll down or the roll up on your exhale. Making your abs do the work, so make sure that they're contracted. Restack, realign. Restacking to realign. And just take a nice little overhead stretch with both hands. Bend the left elbow, reach for it with the right hand, and just tug in towards the midline, taking a nice little stretch here through the tricep on the left, and then repeat right. Then bring your hands together in prayer in front of your heart. Take a moment just to thank yourself for making time to come and play today. Hope you enjoyed today's dragged practice. Till next time, Keep it light.